Hello there, everybody. My name is Joe Crawford, and I'm Executive Director for Estill Development Alliance. And this is the EDA Community Forum. We are here at the session room of Steam Engine Pizza Pub, and we want to say a big thank you to the folks at Steam Engine. They're always so good to us. We need to say a huge thanks to the EDA annual sponsors, being CG Bank and Mercy Health Markham and Wallace Hospital. And we'd also like to say thank you to Ethan Moore with WSKV 104.9 FM, who is taking care of all our audio and video streaming this evening. Without further ado, tonight's conversation is going to be focused on the incoming superintendent of Estill County Schools, and that is Mr. Charlie Brock. Mr. Brock, we're happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Definitely. We've got a few questions. We're not trying to pin you to the mat or anything. We just want to help the folks in Estill County to get to know you a little bit better.
Sure. Be glad to hear.
Well, just to start out, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and some about your background?
In general or education or both?
Whatever you want to tell folks.
Well, okay. So I grew up on a farm in Laurel County.
Mhm.
We still own it. It's 135 acres. It's been in my family since 1893.
Wow.
When I was a teenager, we did tobacco, cattle, hay, the whole 9 yards. But now we just do beef, cattle, and hay.
Mhm.
And got into education, worked my way through college. Originally was an engineering major, and I tell everybody I got my call into education because I do believe it is a calling when I was a junior. And so completed my education classes, started teaching, and then just kind of coached and done all the different things in education. I've got a lovely wife and 4 children. One of my youngest daughter is actually going to be an engineer as well. She's headed off to MIT in Boston this fall.
Wow.
So very proud of her. And my wife thought it was pretty interesting. We were both going to be engineers. So I thought that was really cool too. Really big on family, always have been. Family's always been important to me. Um, Kids and education and opportunities always been important to me. Grew up, like I said, on a farm, but we worked hard, and education was kind of my out. I told a story today at the conference. A guy was talking to me about education, and I remember that my mom, she got her GED when I was 5, and my dad was a high school graduate, but they valued education. It was important to them. They knew it'd be a better life for me and my brother if we just had a trade or got to college. It didn't matter as long as we, had an education. So it was an opportunity for me, and so kind of my passion is trying to help provide that opportunity for every kid. They deserve it.
Well, that's wonderful. So your daughter going to MIT, does she razz you because she's going all the way and you didn't?
No, so it's kind of a funny story. So a veterinarian like her whole life. So she'll get a kick out of this because I'm sure she'll watch this later or whatever. But so from the time she was like big enough to talk, she wanted to be a veterinarian, wanted to be a veterinarian. And then she got into actually the equivalent of a tech school in Laurel County, and engineering is what she got into, and she loved it. So she decided, and she was big in FFA and different things because we grew up on a farm. She's farmed, and not that FFA is just for farm kids anymore. It's
Sure.
for any kid, and it's great for leadership along with lots of other school programs. But she she had got into UK early decision, and me and my wife was talking. And I just went to her and I was like, "Have you ever thought about applying to like an Ivy League school?" And she's like, "No, not really. You think I can get in?" I was like, "Yeah, I think you probably can." So he's like, "Well, what's the best engineering school?" I said, "Probably MIT."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Okay, I'll apply." So she got in, and she came and talked to me when she got her letter, me and my wife, and she was said, I didn't know if I would go or not, but how do I not take this opportunity? And she's worked hard, and that's an opportunity that she gets for that. And if she doesn't like it, fine, she can come home. But
Sure.
and what's interesting is that I think about it, she's one of very few kids in public education that's getting that opportunity. But public education has got to provide that opportunity for kids, just like it was provided for her. Like I said, we owe it to kids to give them the best we can so that they've got a leg up on life. So,
Right.
and that's why I do what I do. Like if there's ever a day that I do not want to go to work and I do not like work, I won't go. I'll quit. I'll do something else. Um, like I said, I grew up on a farm. My dad built houses for 48 years. I've had my electrical license. I know how to plumb. I know how to build houses. I know how to mechanic. I mean, he made sure we were very well rounded. So I can make a living doing lots
Yeah.
of things. But I absolutely love this. That's why I do it.
Well, okay. So specifically, what would make an educated Laurel County farm boy want to come to Estill County?
Well, it's interesting. So, like, I'm a pretty driven person. I believe that you've got to set goals in life and then try to attain them. And I encourage everybody, no matter where they're at in life, like set a goal you think you can achieve, and then work to achieve it.
Right.
And growing up, honestly, if you would have told me when I was 18, 19 years old that I was going to be sitting here with a suit and tie on, I'd have laughed at you. This is not my attire, so to speak.
Right.
But it is part of the job and part of being respected. And professionalism is important. So one of my goals in education was to be a superintendent one day. Never got in a hurry. I coached, I taught math, and kind of worked up. And then my wife actually just encouraged me over the summer. Last summer, she's like, you want to be a superintendent, you need to finish those classes. And I said, okay. So I finished them last fall, actually. And she said, well, are you going to apply? I said, no, the right situation is going to have to come along. And so, and I told the board this when I interviewed. I think there were 7 or 8 positions open at the time, and Estill was the only one I applied for. I checked it out through people that I knew that had connections here, and just looked at the school system and prayed about it and just lots of different things. And her and I talked, and I was like, that'll be a big change for us because if we get it, we definitely want to move there and get as close as we can. And we just came to the conclusion, hey, let's apply and see what happens. And even when I applied, I talked to my boss, Dr. Hatchett at Bree, and I was like, I'm not sure yet. I still want to think about it, but I at least want to put my name in the hat. Well, the more that I learned about Estill County and the school system and just the community and the people, the more intrigued I got. And I talked to people who were from here that I worked with in different places and people that had connections here. And I was like, that's my type of community. So if it works out, this will be great. And fortunate enough, it did work out. So I'm all in, and I'm glad to be here. So.
Outstanding. Good answer.
Well,
good.
I don't know about that, but I mean that's just the truth of the matter. So,
Right.
And I had no other ones that I was looking at to apply for.
Right.
It has to be a good fit. In order to be successful, it has to be a good fit for me, but it has to be a good fit for the community and the school system too. Otherwise, neither one of us do each other any good.
Right.
So
excellent. Okay. Nice. All right. Now I'm getting into the questions that I actually have to read because there are way too many words.
Okay.
So what is your vision for our school district and its role in the community? And do you have any goals you'd like to achieve? And I'm taking into consideration that you have fresh eyes, so to speak.
Okay. Well, boy, that is a mouthful, and I wonder you had to read it. So first of all, I think that Mr. Saylor and the Board of Education has done an excellent job as far as with lots of things, but the facilities are top notch. Like he's done a great job, and the board has really done a good job supporting that work. And so that was part of the draw for me too. I wasn't going to lie. I mean, we come over and we drove through. And they've done a really, really good job with that, and we want to maintain that. But specifically looking at it, it goes back to what I was talking about a while ago, just providing those opportunities for students. And so when the board interviewed and we talked, they're like, we're looking for an academic leader. And, that's kind of my track record. And I am a bit of a nerd, and academics and curriculum and all of that's kind of my thing. So what I want to be able to do, and you say my vision, it won't just be my vision. It'll be a team effort. I'm really big on teams and making sure that we provide people, grow our own, and invest in them so that the whole organization moves forward. If it's all on one person, if that person leaves or if something happens to that person, then everything kind of falls flat. But when you approach it from a team effort and get a team vision and you get buy-in, and move forward. So academics will definitely be the focus. I think that curriculum and maybe some standards work. I've already met with some of my administrative team. I thought it important to come and talk to all teachers I could talk to. I've talked to about every teacher in the district, and maintenance and custodians and bus drivers and everybody I can talk to, because we're all working together in this. But just to move those academics forward, because that's the opportunity for students. And when I say academics, I know there was focus several years ago, and I hated this, and I was in education, and I thought this was totally the wrong way to go. Thankfully now that there's a shift in that, but several years ago it was all college, college, college,
Right.
college. Everybody's going to college. Everybody take the ACT. Everybody's going to college. Well, that's great if that's your goal, but
Sure.
that's not the only academic opportunity. I mean, like I said earlier, like my dad made sure that we had trades that we could do, just a way to be productive, a way to make a living, and a way to have a better life. And so when I say an academic opportunity, I don't necessarily just mean college. I mean, if that's the route that they want to go, great. But let's get them plugged into the community. Let's get them plugged into a pathway. Let's get them plugged into a career. Let's find something they're passionate about, so that when they leave the doors at Estill County High School, they will be successful in life and they can be productive members of society. So that's what I mean when I say academic opportunities. It'll be a lot of work. And like I said, I'm meeting with administrative and leadership team tomorrow to kind of lay some groundwork and go ahead and get started with that, because I don't feel like we can wait till July 1. And we'll be very focused and very strategic the first year, but that's kind of the overall vision. And in doing that and investing in the kids and giving them opportunities, we're also investing in our community. And there'll be a time that we definitely will, I'll want to meet with community too, to get them involved in this process as well. Because it really is, it can't be one-sided. If it's one-sided, it never works.
Right.
One thing that I've done before in the past in this is to meet with some business and industry and say, hey, what are you looking for? Like, it's hard to find employees right now. So what are you looking for in an employee? And inevitably, what we call soft skills, being able to talk to people, being able to put your phone down for 30 seconds,
Right.
which I have a bad habit of too. We all do.
Yeah.
We all have a terrible habit of that. And some of those soft skills is what they tend to focus on, and the ability to solve problems and that type of thing. And so that's what we're looking at as a whole, not just college, not just career, but a student that is well versed and can make good decisions, and they're ready for life. And I guess that came to me not just from here, but several years ago. As a high school principal, I was looking. We were where I was at the time. We were at the top academically, and every year I would graduate seniors that would go out and not be successful. And all of my metrics said that they should be successful, but they weren't, because we were not preparing them for life, even though they had the academic background. So that kind of shifted my focus, and that's where I've kind of got to where we need to prepare students for life. So.
Excellent. Yeah, so if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
And this is, like y'all probably can tell, it's my passion. Like, I love it. I love it. Somebody took chances on me when I was a student and gave me opportunities. And I just want our students to have that same opportunity.
Excellent. We already mentioned our facilities, which we, as a community, are very proud of our facilities at this point. We've invested heavily in them in the last few years. You've already mentioned this a little bit, but how do you plan to utilize these top-notch facilities for the good of the students and the community as a whole?
Well, I mean, I think it's a win-win situation. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot done by the community and by Mr. Saylor and the board and by teachers and everybody that works in the districts, and they should take pride in it. And, just continuing along some of the things that's been done. I mean, whether it be an athletic facility or a building or academics, I mean, all of that ties together, and bringing the community in and looking at ways that we can support the community through education and different things, maintaining them. We don't want them to run down, and opening them up as much as we possibly can for the community to use. I know that there was one of the things that's already been mentioned to me is kind of a community room or a place. And so that's one thing that's on my mind and my thought process. I won't promise that year one, but we'll try to do that. But but just working together. And I don't have all the answers on how we should utilize it. I mean, I can give you the standard academic answers, and that's where I'm open to you and the community, anybody else. Like, hey, I've got an idea. It may work, it may not work, but we can talk about it and try to figure it out.
Excellent. You also, you're jumping ahead and answering my questions before I get to them, so you're going to have to settle down.
Okay,
You already talked about academic achievement a little bit,
sure.
and it sounds to me like you, and I'm putting words in your mouth, you may believe in a little bit more of a holistic approach
I do.
when trying to attain that those high levels of academic achievement. If you could just speak a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of just in general helping our student body to achieve higher levels, both just in general and then also as a follow-up to COVID-19 and kind of the hole that everybody fell into.
Sure, and there's no doubt if you look at the data and across the state, there was some learning loss, and COVID kind of set everybody back. But I'm not about excuses, and while that was tragic and that was a bad situation, I don't want to demean that in any way. But we're where we're at, so let's move forward. Like I just believe that that's what you have to do, evaluate and move forward. So one of the things that I want to talk to the team about tomorrow in this vision and this work that we'll do together is a system of support for educators, support for community, and support for our students to kind of mitigate some of that learning loss, and how we can maybe expedite learning and work together to try to help to get caught up, so to speak. But also, when you find somebody's like you talk about, you find your passion, you never work a day in your life. Part of that's finding students' passion. I was a math teacher, loved math, thought it was absolutely ridiculous that every kid had to have Algebra 2 a few years ago to graduate. Some need it, some don't. And that's not their passion. So, but everybody has one. You just got to find what it is and then use that in the realm of education to motivate and show that there is an opportunity to earn a living or to have a life or to have a better life through that. And it's like I said, it's a hard lift, and it starts with the basics and going back to the foundation, if you will, and make sure that you're building smart and you're building strong and you're building out of good things. And I know there's a lot of hard work that's been done here. I'm not discounting that at all. And in no way am I coming in with all the answers and like, here it is, this is perfect. And that's why I believe in that team effort. But there are some steps you can take, and there are some strategic planning that you can do to move forward. It's like I told the board when I interviewed, like, I could make you a nice, pretty plan, and I could tell you a nice, pretty plan here tonight that's going to be just perfect, and everybody's going to go, oh, that's great. But it may not work because I don't know the capacity of everybody yet. I don't know their personalities. I don't know their strengths and their weaknesses. I'll get it figured out pretty quick, especially when we start meeting tomorrow and then in July. And then we'll get a plan together and we will go forward. But all of those plans have to have support. And they basically are structured around 3 tiers, academics, behavior, and social emotional. And that's across the state. But I firmly believe that if you support students in academics and in behavior and the social emotional kind, it don't necessarily take care of itself, but it aids. Each one aids the other and helps the other. So it's kind of where we're at. We don't have anything specific on paper yet. They'll have those pillars, if you will, as part of this system of support. I'll have expectations from me and from the district, but also principals will have some autonomy on what that looks like in their building because they know their people, as long as that system is built with those supports for students. And we're challenging students, we're letting them have some productive struggle, but also we're supporting them and kind of giving them a safety net so that if they fail, they can get up and move forward and learn. I've learned far more by failing than I have by succeeding.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. And you have to have that safe space to do that.
Sure.
And it's not that accountability don't matter or holding a bar high doesn't matter, but like there's lots of things I figured out how not to do before I figured out how to do it. And that's kind of what we want to build.
Great. You've already mentioned community partnerships.
Sure.
A couple times. How do you view your role as the captain of the ship that is the district in relation to the community as an institution?
Well, I think that's maybe a little bit twofold. I think is definitely as the leader of the district, I believe that I should be the instructional leader of the district. I mean, that's what we're about. We're about instruction. We're about learning. There's some other great things that go along with that and other opportunities for kids. But it's not just in support of our students. The community plays a big role in that, and I have to support both the community and the school. I have to be involved in the community. I need to be here outside of school hours as much as I possibly can and get to know people and organizations and put names with faces. And I'm really good with faces. I'm not great with names always. But I will get better with that as time and the more that I'm in the district. But the community already, I can tell, and from the people I've talked to, they have a tremendous support for the school system. And the school system also needs to support and pour into the community. I said a while ago, I believe in investing in people and kind of growing our own. So we need to look within our community and what do we need? Like what do we need to do? And what kind of opportunities do we need to be providing students so that when they graduate, if they go off to college, they can come back and be successful here. There's a job for them. There's something for them to do. Or if they're going to go into a career or job or the workforce, what is it we need to prepare them so that we can invest in our community through our students too, as well? And how can I support and how can I invest? And not just me, but my leadership team, my teachers, every staff member. You can go through the whole gamut, if you will, because like I said earlier, we're all about educating that child, but we also all need to be about investing in our community. And if we're not, then maybe our motives are not what they should be.
Well said. In Estill County, in general, for the most part, um, we view ourselves as being culturally Appalachian. We're definitely, we're right in between, but we're definitely more Eastern Kentucky than we are bluegrass.
Sure.
So with that tends to come a little bit more of, I guess you'd say, a protectionist stance, maybe wanting to be a little more comfortable with the status quo. How do you feel that kind of that part of our culture and maybe a culture of innovation could coexist?
Well, I mean, I think sometimes that not in this area or not in the area that I grew up in, but there are areas of the state and the country that kind of has a negative connotation.
Mm-hmm.
But it shouldn't because I mean, like I said, where I grew up and my papa was born in 1914. He was just a hardworking person. He was more of that Appalachian mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And he was probably one of the most innovative people that I've ever met in my life. And what I mean by that is he would have something that he needed, or he would have something that to do a job that would make the job easier. And I can't tell you the number of things he invented and the number of things he came up with. And it's not just him. The people in general are hard workers. They're thoughtful. They're engineers without a title of being engineers. Right. And so it's not that far of a stretch. Like innovation also sometimes gets a negative connotation. And I think that comes from people thinking, oh, innovation, we're just doing it different for the sake of doing it different. And I'm not about that. But so they definitely coexist. And the protectionist thing, like I'm very protective of my family. I'm very protective of my beliefs, and I'm very protective of lots of things that are important to me, my morals and my values. And so that's not necessarily a bad thing either. But it becomes a bad thing when that gets in the way of opportunities that my family may have. And when I say opportunities, I mean good opportunities, not just for the sake of doing it. But I also found out that communication is really important in that. I had two different employees over the course of my career. And the first time that somebody said it to me, I was kind of like, I don't know. And the second time I stopped, I was like, what do you mean by that? Because I don't know if it was a compliment or if it wasn't. I didn't know how to take it. They said, you are the hardest person, but the fairest person I've ever worked for. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? And they're like, well, I don't always agree with you, but you always let me know why you're doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we won't always agree. I said the other night at the reception, I said it's been great and everybody's been wonderful because I haven't had to tell anybody no yet and make them mad. And that's probably going to come.
Sure.
But when those times come, then I'll try my best to sit down with people and say, hey, you may not like this decision and that's okay, but here's the reason it was made.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, this really is what's best for kids. And a lot of people say that, but I actually believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what we have to do. What I think and what you think may differ, but we can talk about it and you may still be mad, but that's okay. At the end of the day, I can rest, I can go to sleep because I feel like I've done what's best for kids. So it's communication, it's common ground, and when there's not common ground, it's a professional understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Which perfectly segues into my next question. I have to give, bad as I hate to, I have to give Mr. Saylor and his administration some credit.
Yeah.
And I'm joking. They've really made great strides with communication and trying to make sure that the community, that parents and the community at large know what's going on in the school district, why certain decisions have been made, reaching out for feedback from the affected parties.
Sure.
So with that in mind, how do you kind of plan to build on that foundation and move forward?
So, and he and I've talked about communication, and he's kind of talked to me a little bit about some of the barriers prior to, and then what they've kind of done to mitigate those barriers. And I definitely want to continue that. I want to continue to be transparent, uh, and just continue to have that communication through, through social media and calls and whatever it may be, even like this,
Mm-hmm.
so that there is an understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing it. We don't want to do anything in secret or behind closed doors. You want somebody to be mad and not understand. That's the best way to go
Sure.
about it. Just try to act like you're doing something not on the up and up or that's secret, because we do serve the community. I've always, it's some people think it's a bad way to look at it, but I've always looked, education is a business,
Yeah.
and our product is our students, and I guess if you will, our bosses are our community and our
Mm-hmm.
parents. Like, so it all fits together, and everybody has to be on the same page. And big part of that's communication. I'd like to tell you I've always got that right in my career. I have not. There have been things that I thought, oh, this is okay. It wasn't like I was trying to do it in secret. I was like, oh, this isn't a big deal. And boy, was it a big deal.
Right.
And there's other things that I have communicated and communicated and communicated, and people are like, why are you telling us this?
Mm-hmm.
So I try to over communicate. Again, that doesn't mean I will always get it right. I'm sure at some point people are going to go, why didn't he tell us this or that? Please know I don't make that mistake out of trying to hide something.
Right.
And I'm always willing to sit down and talk with you about it, talk with the community about it. I've always had an open door policy as a leader, and I continue to believe that. Now, in saying that, I do believe that there is a proper chain of command, and we have to follow that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at education as a whole, we look at everybody as a leader within their station in the district. So it doesn't matter if it's custodial staff, they are a leader in their position in the building or in the district. Maintenance, same thing. Cafeteria, aides, bus drivers, monitors, teachers are the instructional leaders of their classroom. Principals are the instructional leaders of the building, and then you can go on and on and on. So if you are looking for me to trump something that you don't like and you haven't talked to the proper people first, I'm going to send you back to those people.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean that we won't be cordial about it and we
Yeah.
can't talk about it. And when you go back, if you don't like the answer you get, I'm not going to say I'm going to change that answer because I believe in supporting people, but then we can maybe talk about it.
Right.
But yeah, communication is key to this success in anything. I think that one of the reasons that some organizations succeed and others fail is simply communication. And the ones that succeed sometimes don't even have the best quote unquote product, but they communicate it better.
Right.
They advertise it better. And so that's why they're successful.
Everything
And
is
again,
marketing.
It is. And again, I'm positive I won't always get it right.
Sure.
When I do, I'll say I'll own it.
Yeah,
And
just own it and move on.
I'll own it and move on. And sometimes that's good enough for people. Sometimes it's not. And that's okay too.
Right.
I promise you, I've made several mistakes and I've had to say, boy, that didn't work out too well. I'll do it different next time. So,
Fair enough. I do want to point out, as far as communication goes, you're wearing a blue and red tie with a blue shirt with a blue suit.
yeah,
So I just wanted to make that clear to anybody that needs to adjust your color at home.
yeah.
You mentioned, I blew my train of thought now.
Well, it's okay. Blue's my favorite color.
See?
It was before I came here.
There you
so
go.
It,
There you
it
go.
always has been. So, no problems.
You mentioned running the school district like a business.
Yeah.
And in some respects.
Yeah.
And the school district is Estill County's largest employer.
Sure.
So what ideas do you have at this point for recruiting and retaining the best professionals possible for our kids?
So in today's culture of education, if I had a excellent answer for that, I'd probably write a book and we could
And you'd
market it
be on a cruise
and
ship.
have all kinds of money. But no, I'd still be doing this because I love it. But
Good answer.
you know, there's some things you can do. So like, and I know that that Estill is already doing some of those things because I met Amanda and Andrea at a job fair at EKU. It's the first place I ever met them. So going to some of those job fairs with the educators that are just graduating and seeing if you can pull them in that way. I believe in investing and growing our own. There's a teaching and learning pathway for students. So if you have students that may be interested in the education field, why not get them plugged in? Why not get them experience right here? I'd made a partnership, me and one of my colleagues that was kind of over the area at Berea. She did a fantastic job of finding partnerships for us. We had a partnership with a university in the teaching and learning that when our students graduated, they had done all 4 classes, they were eligible to set for the praxis already.
Wow.
And that was huge. But I think that's part of it. I think opening people's eyes to the opportunities of even being in education. Some people come in through a different lens than originally going to education. Like I said, I was originally an engineering major and got all the way through my junior year, got my call into education. So maybe somebody's in a career and they're like, you know what, teaching may be for me. There's so many pathways into that now, so you can recruit in that aspect. I know there's different options and different things like that, but also like for the retention part, how you treat people. I mean, I think that's huge. How you treat people, how you support them, how you help them grow, and that's kind of why that's a big focus for me. Like investing in people and help them achieve not just students, whatever they want to do, but employees as well, and helping them to feel like, not to understand, because if they didn't understand it, they wouldn't do it, but to feel like and to know they're part of something bigger. Like you're investing in people's lives, you're changing the future. And there's little things that I've done. One of the things, me leaving Berea, they've aggravated me. Before I leave, they're like, we have to have one more day you cook for us. And I'm like, well, okay, we can see if we can do that. So it's just small things like that. There was the conference I was at today had some other suggestions we'll have to look at, but we have got to get the best people we can for our students and keep them because they deserve that. And I'm open to ideas if anybody has any other ideas, but the ones that we have, we've got to keep, and the positions that we have open, we got to figure out how to get other people in them. Through legislation is another way that we can do that. One of the big topics today was talking to legislatures and the legislature and try to get education to be, I won't say paid more, but literally paid more,
Right.
equivalent to other professions. It's not required now, but used to. We was one of the only fields in Kentucky, or if not the only one, you were required to have a master's to continue employment. And I know that's been gone, but even at that time, that wasn't valued. And if you look at the time and the effort that educators put in, and when I say educators, I mean everybody, not just teachers, but bus drivers and classified and certified, and everybody. cafeteria. I can go down the whole list. I don't want to miss anybody, but like the whole staff. Uh, we have to invest in them, and that means we need to pay them equivalent to what they can make somewhere else doing the same job or more.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't want to become a lobbyist because that's not what I
Sure.
came to do, but having that voice be heard, hey, I've had meetings with senators and people before, and I'll continue to do that to support our community and say, hey, this is what we need.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want education to be something Kentucky as a whole can be proud of, and not just be the state that's kind of in the middle
Right.
when it comes academically, and we want to move the whole state to the top, then we're going to have to invest in it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have to put the money in it. And we're going to have to recruit good people into becoming educators and offer them an option that's not just, well, you get summers off. Listen, nobody goes into teaching for getting summers off. Not anymore.
Right.
And if they do, then please don't be a teacher just because you want summers off. They go into it because they want to make a difference in kids' lives.
Yeah.
And that ought to be recognized. It ought to be respected. And the state needs to do a little bit better job of supporting that financially,
Right.
my opinion.
Well, and something we talked about a little bit before we started this video, there are conversations that we can have on the local level.
Yes, absolutely.
On things that we can do as a community to be more attractive to not only teachers, but all professionals. There is a certain level of amenities that people expect, and especially if they're going to move into a community from somewhere else. And we have to look at available housing. That's definitely an issue that.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
You're looking at right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult, and I know the housing market is crazy right now. It is. It absolutely is. And there are things that are selling quicker than we can even get to look at them. But just trying to find a piece of land or trying to find a place to live, which we are, it's difficult. It is, and there like you said, for any community to grow, and this isn't my area of expertise, I'd be willing to work with the community the best I can in this role to try to help with that. For growth to take place, there has to be opportunity.
Right.
And so we need to look as a community what is best for the community and what's best for the school and how we can provide that opportunity. And again, that's not my area of expertise. I'm like you, I probably have some ideas, but that's part of that partnership with the community of making that a reality.
So no big deal. We've just got to nurture the chicken and the egg simultaneously.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
We'll have it done by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
You've spoken to this a little bit already, but what importance do you place on extracurricular activities? And that's the full range, athletics, academic team, clubs, across the board,
Yeah.
on a kid's education, and how do your feelings on that relate to your position as the district's leader?
So extracurriculars, no matter what they are essential for schools, I believe. We have lots of students. I don't know for sure in Estill, but I'm assuming it's probably the same way it is that in other places I've been, that the reason they are at school, the reason they're making the grade, the reason they're involved is because of athletics or clubs or band or AB, all these different things that they can get involved in. And so it kind of becomes a conduit to their education.
Mm-hmm.
And so those opportunities, if we want a well-rounded student, are also essential. I mentioned earlier, like at the very beginning, my daughter, and she doesn't play sports, and she was in the band for a little while, and she liked it, but that wasn't her thing. But a club, FFA, that's
Mm-hmm.
where she found her thing. Student council, that's where she found her thing. And not that she wasn't a good student, but that drove her to be a better student. And so, and it's provided her opportunities. So not only can academics provide opportunities, but through those extracurricular, students have opportunities as well. I will say this though, and I've always said this, even when I coached basketball for 5 years, the student athletes, or they're student and then a club, or student and then band, like they're students first. And that's where we've got to cultivate that importance of education. Yes, this extracurricular is important. Yes, what you can get involved in is important. Yes, you will learn skills there that will help you in life. But you also have to make the grade to go along with it,
Right.
because You could be the best speaker, you could be the best this or the best that, best basketball player, best instrument, best whatever. And if you don't have the academic background to support it, then that's only going to take you so far. If you have them together, you'll go much farther in life.
So again, that holistic approach.
Holistic approach.
I dig it. I dig it. This is going into one of the hot button issues.
Okay.
So balancing school safety with community engagement, it's kind of a tightrope that's hard to walk.
It is.
So what are your thoughts on these seemingly opposing ideas for the community?
So, and it's unfortunately it's the world we're living in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And student safety has to take precedent over everything.
Right.
And it's not that we don't want engagement. It's not that we don't want people in our buildings, but we have to make sure that our students are safe. And that has to, like I said, take precedent over everything. There are ways you can still have involvement, but unfortunately, some of the things that we used to do 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, we just can't do anymore.
Right.
And that's sad, and I hate that. I wish we could come back to some kind of senses, if you would, come to our senses a little bit as a country. And I wish I could wave a magic wand and some of this stuff would go away, but it's not going to, or it doesn't seem like it's going to anytime soon. So we just have to get more creative on how that can happen and what that looks like. I think one thing that can be done is try to like advertise more and get more volunteers. So if you go through a little process and it's pretty simple, like a little background check or whatever, and people sometimes get offended about that. They're like, you know me, how do you think I need a background check? Well, listen, when they hired me, I had to have a background check.
Right.
Like that's just part of the process. And I've already had one in this district and this district and this district. So, but it's part of the process. And I always try to tell people like, I'm asking you just like I ask everybody else, what about somebody we don't know? Do you want them to come in and be around our students and we know nothing about them? And the answer is always no. And so that's one thing. Parent organizations, boosters, different things like that. And just get more creative in how we can do that. But like I said, unfortunately, some of the stuff we could do 10, 15 years ago is probably not coming back anytime soon.
Right. And that's just the world we're living in today.
It's just and I hate it. It just kind of, as I was saying, it is what it is
Right.
at this point. So, yeah.
Well, good deal. Well, do you have anything else that you'd like to share with students or staff or parents or just the general community?
No, I mean, I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to. We've already got started in the work, but even to just be in the community and be here, more and definitely closer. Right now, I am finishing up my contract with the other district, which will be finished here in the next few days, and then just being more visible, like I said. When I say get started with the work, like I said, I've looked at data. I'm a data nerd, and I've already met with lots of people in the district, but meeting with and then like actually getting started are two different things.
Sure.
And building that team, it's it's something that everybody talks about, but if we're honest, it's sometimes hard to do. Like if you've ever coached, sometimes it's hard to get that team to come together.
Right.
And it takes time and it takes trust and it takes all those things. And so we're trying to expedite that process to where you are a true team. But I've said often, I don't feel like leadership is a lot different than coaching. Like you take the players you have, you find their strengths and weaknesses, you coach them up, you support them, and you try to put them in the best position you possibly can so that they can be successful. Because if they're successful, then your team's successful and you win ball games. Well, it's the same thing in leadership. Like you look at your people, you see their talents, their weaknesses, you support them, you coach them up, and you do the best that you can to put them in a situation to be successful. So when they win ball games, what does that mean? It means students get opportunities. They get an education and a holistic education, and they get not just, sit in a classroom, oh, I know this and that, but they get a real education and they get, like I said, more opportunities to be successful in life. And it's not a top down, it's really kind of a bottom up approach,
Mhm.
and that's the way it has to be. I was in a meeting the other day. I'm a talker, y'all figured out. Like they just think Mr. Sailor's a talker, okay? I can talk for 15 minutes about how to tie my shoes, and I wear boots. So, um, but I was talking in a meeting the other day, and somebody had asked about, that kind of that idea or approach or whatever,
Mhm.
and providing opportunities. And I was like, look, when we're doing this and we're trying to build these opportunities, and we're trying to give kids what we want them to have. Sometimes, like I talked about myself a little bit, and I don't want to get into details, but I grew up on a farm. We worked hard. We didn't have a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like I tell the story, the first pair of Nikes I ever had in my life was when I made the basketball team when I was in high school.
Mhm.
Uh, but I worked hard, and I had people that, like I said, invested in me. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we're in this meeting. I was like, like we do this for investing in people and investing in kids so that they can have the opportunities that they didn't think that they could have. And I talk about that a lot because that's important.
Mhm.
Like that's what's going to take them in life wherever they want to go. I've heard many times, I'm sure you all have as well. If you think you can, you're right. And if you think you can't, you're right. Well, we got to get more people to thinking they can.
Like the
And
little engine that could.
that's right. And have people dare to dream big. One of the saddest things in education that I have ever encountered was one of my first years as an administrator, and I was talking to some third grade students, and I just asked them, I just asked a simple question. I was like, like if you could have anything or you could do anything, what would you want? And some of them could think really big,
Mhm.
but most of them could think kind of big, but a few of them couldn't think past like small things
Right.
that they had for their life. Like, well, if I can, maybe I can work here, or maybe I can work there, or maybe I can afford to have my own place someday, or maybe I can. And there's nothing wrong with if that's the best you can do, but there is something wrong when you can't dream big. And that's what we've got to invest in. That's what we've got to get people to do is dream big. And listen, I dream so big, I don't know if we'll ever achieve it, but we're going to try.
Right.
And I want to instill that in other people. I mean, let's shoot for the stars. If we land on the moon, then there we go.
Nice. Very nice. I do want to point out, I allotted 5 minutes per question, including me asking it, and you're still done 13 minutes early.
Well, I can talk for 13 minutes if you want me to. I mean, it's not a big deal. No, I mean, I do love what I do.
Well, your passion does come through.
I do. I mean, and like I said, I really stand by the statement that if I get to where I do not like this, I won't do it anymore
Mhm.
because I'm no good to anybody. All I'm doing is drawing a paycheck, and I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So, and I welcome anybody. I would love to meet everybody in the community,
Oh, you'll meet everyone.
and I would love to. I want to. I want to. And like I said, I mean, I'm sure there'll be disagreements, and I'm sure there'll be different things, but let's talk about it. So,
Right.
yeah. And
Well,
when we talk about it, you still may not agree with me,
Right.
but it's okay.
Right.
We can still treat each other professional and with respect and move forward. I mean, because ultimately that's one of the things we're trying to instill in our kids too.
Mhm.
Treat everybody with dignity and respect. You don't have to agree, but treat with dignity and respect. So
Right. And that's an old value.
it is kind of protective of those things.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yep.
Well, I do want to say I appreciate your candor and being open and even being willing just to come and sit down and do this. You haven't even officially taken on the job yet. You know, you still got a couple weeks to get your bearings before you really take off running. But we're excited to move forward and see what kind of rabbits you can pull out of your hat.
Yeah, I'm a mathematician. I'm not a magician.
Okay, all right.
No, I mean, and like I said, it really will be a team and a group effort. I just kind of operate and always have as a leader because I believe that it's true. When we have success, it's because everybody else did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
When everybody is so mad that they you're spitting fire, it's my fault. Just come see me. Like I own that right now. So that's part of it.
Captain goes down with the ship, right?
The captain goes down and leaves the ship floating if he can.
Ooh, that's deep, folks. That's deep right there.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, though, and I look forward to working with you, to being a part of looking for the solutions both within the district and outside the district for the whole community as we move forward. And hope you're here for a long time.
Yeah. Well, that's the plan. So.
If you can find some place to live.
Well, we'll find somewhere. Like I said, we'll get a camper and just set up on the front lawn.
There you go.
I'm just kidding about that. Yeah, we'll find somewhere. We definitely want to be as close as we possibly can.
That's outstanding.
Yeah,
Mr. Brock.
Thank you so much.
Welcome
for
to
your
Estill
time.
County.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it.
All right.
All right, folks. Again, this has been Charlie Brock. He's the incoming superintendent for Estill County Schools, and it's been great to have him here. We want to say another big thank you to Ethan Moore, WSKV Pickup Media Group, for doing our video and audio work tonight. I want to say another thank you to Steam Engine Pizza Pub for allowing us the use of the session room and always taking such great care of us. And also our annual sponsors for Estill Development Alliance, CG Bank and Mercy Health Markham and Wallace Hospital. I'm Joe Crawford, and we'll see you next time.
I had one of those pizzas.